That Monday Night Raw was the lowest rated Monday Night Raw in history. Now, we do a disservice by showing the tombstone pile driver of The Undertaker because this simply was the only good moment on the entire show, and it was relying on guys from the 90s and the early 2000s, mid-2000s. It's relying on the legends. The show relied on the legends. That's how bad it was. When your only other good segment was the fans booing because you made fun of the fact that they don't have a basketball team, you know how much trouble you're in. These guys could have never gotten booed like this in any other place. But because they mentioned an NBA team, it was one of the loudest boos I'd heard in a long time. But the reason why it seems so awesome and massive is because of how dead the crowds are nowadays. And that's the WWE's fault because they are boring and docile. So go the fans of WWE. Boring and docile most of the time. Because the WWE wanted a PG product. Nobody has a character anymore. The WWE breaks their record for the third time this year of the lowest viewed episode of Raw ever. There are more people on this planet nowadays. There are more people on average watching TV. You know, it's not like TV's going away. I get it. The numbers are down everywhere, they say. And it's true. Things are more spread out nowadays. There are more TV shows, so people are watching more different TV shows and content all over the place. People's attentions are spread everywhere, as opposed to back in the late 90s even, or especially early 90s and times like that when there were only a certain amount of things on the TV, so you could really captivate people. But still, last week drew a 2.3, which was the new record for the all-time lowest amount watched of Raw. 2.350. 2,350,000 viewers. This week, a whole 48,000 more people tuned out, as this episode drew a 2.302. So a 2.3, 2,300,000 people on this Raw. Now, there was a time when, this is just unreal, but it's so boring and horrible. You know, what's funny is, our buddy Mike called up, said he was doing a Raw protest. Well, apparently so did a bunch of other people. So the lowest rating of all time, for the third time this year, they broke their own lowest rating. Let that sink in for a few. Now, while you think about that, what could be a happy thought for some, what could be an angry thought for others, let me fill your head with a happy thought unrelated to wrestling, since people are so bored by wrestling nowadays. That's right. Right now, for you patrons, I got to remind you, we'll come back to this Raw. I got to remind the patrons, right now, a special 2-hour podcast with Justin Bailey as he returns. Morning Madness. It's basically the JB and Joe show again, but it's a 2-hour special of episode 117 of Morning Madness on Patreon. So, guys, if you haven't checked your Patreon, check it today. Also, remember, a lot of people's credit cards probably didn't work and things like that, as happens every month with Patreon. A lot of people's solutions have been to create new accounts and put a new card in or something like that. So you might have to check it. But if you want to listen, it is a pretty candid conversation, but also kind of, we're really goofy as always here. 2 hours. You can download it from the app or from the website. Patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Justin Bailey. In a 2-hour special with me. So check that out. Lots of people signing up on the Patreon, so thank you to all the people who just became patrons. But again, the main event, I was actually excited for it. I was excited when I saw The Undertaker. I said, oh, cool. That's awesome, The Undertaker is there. And then on top of that, I basically knew Triple H was coming down at that point, so I was like, oh, man, Triple H is going to come out now, too, and this is going to be a brawl. This is great. And I got excited for it, man. I did, but only because these guys are legends and that type of moment worked. But everything else they did on Raw was just awful. The announcing is horrible. The commentary is abysmal. I've done all I can to try to get WWE's attention myself, to try to get, can I work? Can I help? Can I give any input? Can I work there? I've been watching wrestling since '87. I work independent, a lot of independent companies here or there. I have done all I can to reach out to them. They just don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They like this. And again, if anybody thinks that this is going to change because they go to Fox, you are sincerely and seriously mistaken. I can tell you, as I told you last night on my review. By the way, I've been telling you these ratings were going to drop like this for 3 years. People laughed at me 3 years ago. Who's laughing now, bitch? And when they go to Fox, it's not going to matter because the programming that WWE is replacing on Fox has been drawing numbers of like 800,000 people. So whenever WWE comes in, they're going to come in at a higher number than 800,000. They're going to come in at a 1.5 million to a 3.5 million, probably. That is going to be huge for Fox. So Fox isn't going to get angry or demand that they do better or demand that they're not PG. Fox is not going to do anything like that. They know exactly what they're paying for, and they love it. And it will be, without a doubt, at least over 1 million more people watching than were watching that channel and that time before. So therefore, they are happy. They've already won. That's why they paid so much for it, and they get better advertising than USA Network. So they're going to make more money than they ever made before as well. So Fox is going to be happy, and they're certainly happy that it's a safe product. WWE is going to be happy because they got paid so much to do the same thing they've been doing. The only people that are going to suffer are the people that have been suffering and tuning out this whole entire time, and that is you, the WWE fan with a brain. Anybody with a slight brain. The WWE is trying to cater to the most dumb, retarded, Fast and the Furious type fan there is. Somebody who will just not give a shit how stupid a storyline is and how boring something is even. You can't even compare it to Fast and the Furious because at least Fast and the Furious can be entertaining. Even though it's ridiculously stupid, it's entertaining. WWE right now isn't even doing that. But I want to thank Mr. Furman Jimenez for becoming a $5 patron on Patreon. Also, Steamy Wet Broccoli for becoming a $5 patron on Patreon. And Vito, V2 of Doom, going from 7 to 10. Thank you, Vito, for upping your pledges. Thank you, guys. And remember, Justin Bailey and myself, 2-hour podcast up now. Go listen to it. It's kind of juicy, too. We talked about a lot of stuff in 2 hours, so it's a podcast you'll want to hear. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, what I do here. If you want to support even more, we'll see you tonight for the SmackDown review live after SmackDown, and then hopefully a little bit of games afterwards. If you have any comments, leave it down below. And I'm going to be talking about the fact that they actually did find a tiny planet behind Pluto, and they believe they're going to find more and something massive, and that is confirmed today. So the Planet X talk heats up again over on youtube.com/corruptedpodcast and coming on Final Frontier News on Patreon as well. So if you're interested in that, patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. This segment, though, was absolutely great. Loved it. I know some people still hate it because I don't want to see them in the ring. Yes, HBK's bald. We knew Shawn Michaels was bald for a year now. He got his hair cut over a year ago now. So, I mean, we all wondered, he's going to look a little weird bald, but whatever. It's Shawn Michaels. He's still awesome. I wish the guy's hair would grow in for him. And just like me, my hair won't grow anymore either, really. It grows like 3 inches and then stops. I've got Dean Ambrose hair at this point. Hell, Dean Ambrose had Dean Ambrose hair. That's why he shaved his too. So there you go. Kane has a mask with hair on it, so he's lucky. I enjoyed the segment for nostalgia, but it didn't help keep people. Dude, this didn't help people stick around to the main event. That is really dangerous. They really misplayed this. They thought they did the right thing, but they misplayed it. But you know what? It doesn't matter because the show is so bad. Everything else is so bad. The storylines are garbage. The verbiage is garbage. Nobody can create a character. What's Seth Rollins' character? What is Seth Rollins' character? Do you guys know? What's his backstory? We don't know. We just know he's Seth freaking Rollins. What's anyone's backstory? We don't even know. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I could tell you, man, that guy was a beer-drinking, swearing, anti-system, scary, almost serial killer-like crazy bastard. You don't know what Stone Cold's going to do or say ever. It's unpredictable, and he's just a badass. What's Seth Rollins? Great wrestler, right? Yep. What else is he? I don't know. He's the architect. He's Seth freaking Rollins. What's Roman Reigns? He's a guy who has been booed by most of the audience, cheered by a lot of other people, and seemingly shoved down our throats. But he does a cool Superman punch thing and a spear, and he's the big dog, and it's his yard now, and he beat The Undertaker. And Roman's, like, related to The Rock and things. What the hell is Roman's character? He's like Superman? Duke the Dumpster Droese was a garbage man. Didn't tell us anything. So what? He's the garbage man. He's a garbage compactor. That's all we know. But if you wanted to make Duke the Dumpster Droese interesting back in the day, you could have said that his family died in a fire. And one day he just began walking and living off the street. And then he wandered into a gym and saw some guys talking about wrestling, so he signed up for it. And now he's here. Now that's interesting. Now you have a character and a background to the character. And then Duke begins to do things on Raw that are maybe a little unpredictable and weird. Somebody wants to tag with Duke, but he doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't want to like anybody ever again. He keeps to himself, and he becomes unpredictable and determined to win a championship. You know, whatever the hell. And you start layering on the character, and then there starts to be something there. And then after that, it's up to Duke the Dumpster Droese to be able to deliver lines, to be able to say things that resonate with people. Like The Rock, when The Rock would just go off and say things that made people laugh or that made people interested or that entertained people. And he went from being booed, being booed to being cheered. He has all this story and build-up that comes with him. What the hell do the guys have now but a script that was already typed for them that is so scripted that you don't allow characters to become characters? You literally have taken away the charisma and character from people by writing the same cookie-cutter lines for everybody. It sounds like everybody is the same character. Has anybody noticed this? Almost all the wrestlers, sound like the same fucking character. It sounds like the same lines are being written for the same character, but you're putting them in the mouths of anybody. You could put these lines in Finn Balor's mouth 1 minute. You could put these lines in Dean Ambrose's mouth the next minute. You could put them in somebody else's mouth the next minute. It doesn't as the lines, because the lines are written by some boring asshat in the back, and these guys don't have a character. Their character is that they sound like almost everybody else because the same people are writing their lines. This show sucks, and I don't care if it even is in the top 10 on cable or top 20 on cable. This is one of the worst shows I have ever seen in my 34 years. I'm not even just talking about wrestling. I am telling you that Monday Night Raw especially, at least SmackDown tries a little bit with the writing in the stories, but even that's not very good. But Monday Night Raw is the worst I have ever seen anything. It is one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life, and I hate it. I would rather watch the Andy Griffith Show by far than watch this show. I would rather watch old black and white movies. One was on TV earlier from 1949. Actually, two. I watched two of them. They were far blown away raw. Dude, a black and white 1949 movie that I watched earlier was 100 times more interesting than Monday Night Raw. Think about that. Let that sink in. This show sucks. And it's not me, because I like other shows. I like other wrestling. Okay? I think NXT is the best thing going. But this is dog piss. I'll see you guys tonight for the SmackDown review. And don't forget about the 2-hour podcast with me and Justin Bailey over on patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. Thank you, guys. By the way, here's some videos you guys might have missed. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on daily takes from me, podcasts, and other live videos as we talk about WWE and other wrestling stuff as well.